Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, good morning here at Giga-Texas. It is Wednesday, the 14th of August, 2024. And today I did a very early flight, so we get a lot of views of what Giga-Texas looks like at night and all of the areas that are lit up and views on the inside. Here's just a couple of views or stills to give you an idea of what we saw. Started off, as I said, very early on the west side and also on the south side. Got these images. And then, of course, we look into the chiller plant on the southeast side, the west side of General Assembly, and also the west side of the south extension that is under construction. And also we get some views around the rest of the site, and then later on when the sun came up. So really a beautiful day to fly. And like I said, you're going to see things in a different light, literally, than you normally see with this video. So without further ado, because I do have a lot of footage, let's get into the video and let's see what Giga-Texas looks like at nighttime here on the 14th of August, 2024.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. It's a gorgeous morning to be doing an early flight here at Giga-Texas, so I thought I would give you a chance to see the site in a different way. And we're going to start off on the west side of the highway, taking a look across the material staging yards and some of the dirt that's being prepared between that material staging yard on the left and the end-of-line facility on the right, and of course the main factory in the distance. And as we get closer to the end-of-line facility, the thing I wanted to make you aware of is that this is right around shift change. It's actually before the normal 6 o'clock shift. And we can see that there is a lot of activity here, despite the fact that the normal shift starts at 6, and we are about an hour before that. But this is a great view of the number of Cybertrucks that are stored here, getting ready for final preparations and then shipping off the site on this north part of the lot. And as we continue to fly to the south, looking towards the east, we can see these vehicles, which are a mix of Model Ys and Cybertrucks, being picked up by the travel trailer trucks, and they'll be taking them up to the Taylor Railhead, which is about 15 miles to the north of Giga-Texas. And we can also see that the south end, which is not quite as well lit, is being prepared for operations soon. They're adding some more of the light poles in the kind of the southeast corner of that section. As we continue to fly over the material staging yard, on the farther of the west side, all of those blue and red flashing lights are some of the security items that they have set up. They have cameras and sensors to help protect all of the equipment here on this side of the facility. Now, in the center of the screen is this triangular area that is possibly going to be a parking lot at some point in the future, but is right now being used for material staging. The steel items on the left, some of the concrete items on the bottom, some dirt being stockpiled, and steel corrugated pipe for the underground water management system. Also, a great view back across the West Warehouse on Wheels River Road beneath the drone, going over underneath the South Bridge. The main roadway or highway between the west side and the main factory, and all of the traffic coming in as the workday is getting ready to kick off and that 6 o'clock shift is starting to arrive at the site. As we resume the narration on the other side of the highway, this is a nice vantage point, taking a look at that south end. All of the glass, it's well lit from the inside, and this gives you a kind of an idea what it looks like at night with all of that lit up from the inside. And the daytime, it's kind of a black glass wall, but at night, it's pretty translucent. And a good view on the east side, that multi-level parking garage, and all of the cars coming into that east parking lot. So let me maneuver the drone around. We're going to fly off towards the east side and look back at the main factory to kind of get a good idea of what the site looks like at nighttime all lit up. I like this view across the workshops in the center of the screen because you can see downtown Austin at the top center of the screen right over the main factory. And as I maneuver the drone to look towards the north, the battery cathode and plant and the die shop is in the upper right. And this is a good view of just some of the workshops, staging yards, the recycling yard at the bottom of the screen, and the East Warehouse on Wheels. Also, another look here at the East parking lot as all of the Tesla employees are arriving for work, some of which are choosing to go into the multi-level parking garage. And I kind of like this view too because it's the first time we've seen it all lit up, all 7 of the floors and the parking lots on the roof section. And this also gives you a great idea of just how much lighting there is and how well lit this entire structure is. And on the south side, the shuttle buses are here to pick up the employees to move them into their workspaces. Zooming in, this is a view of the east side of the body in white on the right-hand side of the screen and the stamping machine section on the left. In the middle is some of the recycling bins that are filled up with those conveyor systems, and they have these scraps from the stamping process, and then those are taken off-site for recycling. As I continue to maneuver towards the south extension, this is a look into that east side, the 4 tanks on the right, the equipment and interior walls in the upper part of the structure, and of course a nice view here on the south part of the chiller plant with all of the work that's being done on the ground level. Let me reposition the drone. We'll bring it up to a higher altitude and cross over the power lines and take a look at that graded section between the extension on the left and the chiller plant. Now, a couple of things that we do notice from this altitude, More equipment has been brought back in where the area has been graded. The trench work has been done for the underground water management system. They've also been doing more of the grade work next to the perimeter grade beam on the left, next to that light. And as we continue to get lower, I'll zoom in and see the pipe work that is being installed on those concrete bases underneath the cooling plant. Also the manifolds coming up out of the ground. And then as we continue to look to the left, we'll see the activity on the ground floor where they've been erecting some more steel, the large brown pipe for the cooling water. There's those red and kind of gray heat exchangers. Those are the plate type heat exchangers. And in the ground is also the manifolds where they come up out of the ground from the chiller plant. And a good view of the second floor as well. Since the glass is lit from behind, you can get a good view inside, and there are several large funnels in the top right second floor and some other equipment that's related to the cooling plants. As I bring the drone down, a view into this tunnel that is well lit on the inside, and the forms are being prepared for concrete. Also, as I zoom in, look at some of the structures that are being erected on the inside on the ground floor. And these look like they are relatively standalone structures within the main extension. And also a good view of the different levels. The level closest to the glass is much higher than it is in the middle of the building. And then we see that interior wall. And as I continue to maneuver towards the west, looking inside, on the upper left, a lot of the steel studs and interior walls. Another one of those freestanding structures in the middle, just on top of this central tunnel. And more materials on the ground to build in the rest of the tunnels. Now, I do want to make sure that my viewers know that the tunnels have been confirmed to be emergency exits for people. So there are no vehicles going to be driving through there. They're not for cooling systems or emergency drains. They're not even Raptor exhaust for testing. These are really just for people to be able to exit. And a great view here of the one on the left that's getting the concrete roof poured right now. And also some views on the inside. But anyway, so we now know what these tunnels are for, and it's required for code because you need to be able to get a lot of the people out quickly in case there was an issue. And the reason why that there's tunnels is it allows the glass aesthetic front to be unbroken by doors or access points, and that's what the tunnels are for. As we get to this entrance way on the southwest corner, the well-lit lights gives us a great view across the entire ground floor, even with some of the moisture on the glass, and just how this section continues to transform. And across this middle part, about at the center of the screen, all the way to the east is those freestanding structures on the ground floor and some extend to the second floor. As we get to the open section without the glass, I'll give you a zoom in and we can get a great look at the mezzanine where the supercomputer cluster should be installed, all of the machinery and cooling equipment that's located underneath that mezzanine. And there's also some of those tubular type heat exchangers with the blue pipes going into them, and a large manifold system in the upper center. As I bring the drone down, a look at the boring tunnel, how this is being prepared for that entranceway, and it does look like there's some sort of ground surface, maybe concrete, maybe asphalt that's been added. And a look into this ground floor at this lower altitude and that central structure that's being constructed as well. And maybe there'll be supercomputer clusters on that ground floor also. As we look at a zoom out, we can see the status of the interior walls, some of the equipment, and the continued trenching on the ground here in this corner next to the original exterior wall. And also we can see with the flashing lights on the left, some of the Cybertrucks have already been exiting that open doorway where the temporary exit point is right now, and also that loading platform, that lower one, has been removed, and we saw that on my previous video. So while we're here, I'll zoom in and we'll take a look along the entire length of the building, predominantly the third floor, but some of the second floor. This is over general assembly. And this area on the top is where much of the Cybertruck is made. They build the doors in this section, the hoods, the tailgate, and other parts. And in the background, as we continue to maneuver towards the north, you may see some of the Cybertruck bodies and large robots that will be picking them up and doing much of the welding. That takes place on the third floor. Also, a good view of some of the additional equipment that has been installed, some of the orange robots that are in the closer to the glass view, and in the distance is where we will start seeing more of those Cybertruck bodies here shortly. A lot of equipment and materials on the second floor as that continues to be built out. Continuing to the north, there's some additional equipment and filtration units that we have seen over the last year being brought in for assembly, and also a look into the background where we're seeing more of those robots that are responsible for the bodies of the Cybertruck and some of the other large pieces. Now, a lot of this is done on the second floor, and then they use elevator systems to take the parts down to the ground floor where they are needed. And this is a view of those large robots with some of them are structural battery packs and some of them are bodies for the Cybertruck. So this is still sort of the south part of the main factory, and we can just now see where the window line is extending down to the ground on the bottom floor on all the red lights. This is the west main entrance, and I'll pull away to give you a view of what it looks like with it all lit up in red with a white trim on that stone glass trapezoid and the reflections in that kind of shiny black material that it is made out of. Also a view into that main entrance. You can even see the Cybertruck graffiti logo on the back black wall. On the top floor, this is still kind of a material staging location, but eventually this will be built out for additional production. The white wall that you see about 3 columns in, maybe 4 columns in, behind that is additional assembly for the Cybertruck and other products that are being made here at Giga-Texas. As we continue to fly to the north here, this is now turning into part of the section of the factory that is responsible for making the structural battery packs. And some of them would be stored in here. Others are the robots and machinery that assemble those structural battery packs. And here's a lot of these yellow robots. These are actually sort of stored here temporarily until they will be needed for expansion of other part of the factory. The bottom floor, the second floor, is the kind of the offices and headquarters of Tesla and Giga-Texas. And then as we continue to maneuver towards the north, you'll see some of the windows have these shades. That's not to keep the drone view, but it's because the sun in the evening when it sets behind the drone and it shines directly into the windows, and it can get quite hot here. As we continue to maneuver towards the north, we're passing through the section that does the battery structural packs, and now we're getting into the part that actually makes the battery cells themselves. And here is some of the equipment that is responsible for the cells. Also on the ground is more of the offices, and this will extend further to the north. And as we continue to fly, we're going to pass the equipment that we see on the top floor, and then we'll see a wall, and then there will be some access points down to the ground floor. You can see some of that red material. Some of those, I think, are actually rollers. They may be part of the battery manufacturing machinery itself, and is possibly part of the extension or expansion of the lines that we've been watching under construction for some time. On the second floor, this kind of white wall with the doors, this is a low humidity area, and this is part of the battery manufacturing. And on the upper floor is some of the offices and workspaces, and then we'll see the machinery that's responsible for doing the rolls of material that go into the cans that make the 4680s. And this is a good view of that equipment, and it extends many column widths all the way back to almost the middle part of the building. And of course, we'll see more offices on the ground floor, and also views down to the bottom floor through this one section by the tables, and we see more of that red equipment on the ground floor. And as we continue to fly to the north, we are approaching the northwest corner. More offices and workspace on the bottom floor. On the top, it looks like they are putting in additional metal studs for interior walls. And as we wrap around the northwest corner, in the area where the shades are is also a cafeteria, and among other offices that have been added here over the last year or so. And as we continue to fly to the north part of the building, it's a good view here of the north end, where the northwest corner bends flat to where we are looking at the drone point of view, and some views into that ground floor where some additional assembly of materials and equipment to make those product lines, the additional 4 to make total of 8, are well underway. And some views through the open doors on top of the platforms. As I continue to fly along the north face of the factory, passing the plastics manufacturing section and now the paint shop, we can get a good view of these temporary cooling units on trailers. There are now 4 of them. They've been assembling the ductwork and electrical system, and also some views inside with these new receiving doors. And all of this is, I believe, to serve the 9,000-ton gigapresses, which are just inside these windows. Now, as I maneuver around these man lifts that are near the windows, we'll give you a view in. Unfortunately, now with the second floor mezzanine that's been assembled and some of the equipment that is right next to the windows, it's much harder to see inside. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can get a view of some of the 9,000-ton gigapresses, some additional bridge cranes that have been installed, and just some other equipment in the middle back part of the casting structure. And behind these walls, which are all obviously brand new, some of them are still under construction. And as you can see some of the materials. Behind this section, if these were out of the way, we would be able to see the furnaces that are used for melting down the aluminum scraps. Now, as we continue to fly along the window line, we're right at the east border, and a few views on the inside through that one section of glass, but otherwise, that's about all we can see on casting now. The baghouse filtration plant and the very heavily reinforced apron section, it looks like it's definitely making progress. This deeper part with the concrete or the steel beams is most likely for another structure of some sort. And this area has had some of the concrete poured, but not all of it. We can see the fabric that is helping with the curing. As I bring the drone up and focus down on the baghouse filtration plant, this is a different kind of view of what it looks like because of all of the lighting. Also a great view down the length of the east side of the factory, the multi-level parking garage. And as I continue to maneuver back around, this is a kind of a view with a zoom in of that same area, and we can see into some of the receiving doors into the casting structure. But even with the deep shadows because of the lighting, I think you can get a good idea of just how much progress has been made with this structure. As I continue to fly to the south, I'll keep the zoom in. some views into the open doors and some of the red equipment that is just inside. Also on the second floor, how that looks. And there's also, I believe, another cafeteria right in the window line, and you can see those white tables. And this also is right above this section that has the new receiving doors, and that area that the dirt section is being prepared for rebar and concrete. The secondary main entrance looks pretty active today, although just on the inside they tend to use it for storage of castings, which is very different. And some other views of the window line. It's difficult to give you these views because of the power lines and also the factory in between me and the drone. So as I pull away to the northeast, I'll focus on the multi-level parking garage and the east parking lot and give you a view of what this part of the site looks like this morning. This is the section of Tesla Road that is eventually going to be extended through this area. There's some additional concrete pipes and some excavation work near the trees, but it's hard to tell with the lighting right now. Also a great view across the east side to the main factory. And as I continue to maneuver the drone to look at the crash testing facility that is very well lit and the cathode plant and the die shop, this is what it looks like here today. And looks like there is some activity going through that large door with the temporary walls into the cathode plant. And otherwise, not a lot of activity at this time of the morning here on the east side. But as I maneuver to look back towards the main factory and along the length of the cathode plant, this is also a nice view of the north windows, and it looks like they've added some shades, probably because of the same effect with the sun that we talked about and part of the main factory. As we continue to fly to the south towards the chiller plant, it is well lit and operational, and if you look at the vaporizers and tanks on the upper right, there is actually some vapor coming out of them, and those are oxygen tanks, which are part of the manufacturing process that is going on inside the cathode plant. It's a great view of the die shop, the north end, and that external furnace on that north side, plus a view back again to the main factory and the multi-level parking garage. As I pull to the north, just wanted to show that it's quite dark on the west side here of the battery cathode facility, so they don't have a lot of the construction lights in this area. The Martin Marietta batch plant looks like it is busy as always, even this early in the morning, getting ready for sending concrete out to jobs around Austin. As we approach the electrical switch yard, also a good view of how it is lit, and the Megapack site in the upper middle of the screen. And also just looking at how the lighting is here in this area, which is actually a construction site. They've been doing a lot of the work with conduit and wires through this section. It looks like there's only one light, and that's near those new concrete vault-like structures, and those have been under construction for about a week or two, and I'll give you some closer views here in a moment. As I come up over the power lines, I wanted to see what the Megapack site looked like lit up at night, and it looks like it is quite well lit, and a nice view here across the Megapacks towards the main factory. So I'm going to fly further to the south over the Megapacks towards that one light and those concrete structures that have just been put in. I'll zoom in, and we can tell that the concrete pours are completed. All the forms are gone. The concrete vaults are ready. The conduit is in the vaults. Now we just have to get the wiring run through the conduits, and then they can start assembling the equipment on top of that structure. So as I pull away, I wanted to give you an overall view of the east side, the sun that's coming up. So we're going to get a very nice sunrise and a really good view here of the entire site and what it looks like at night, now around sunrise, and all of the traffic coming on the Central Highway. You'll also notice that the red lights on the west entrance are still lit. Those go off right at sunrise, so we will have the opportunity to see what it looks like with the sun coming up before they turn them off. And as a bonus, I decided that I would show you this vantage point of what the Giga-Texas looks like during a sunrise, looking across the highway at the well-lit factory and the end-of-line facility and all of the vehicles getting ready to be transported off the site. So I hope that you enjoy these views and this different look at Giga-Texas than we normally see early in the morning. And as always, thank you very much for your continued support and for watching along. I very much appreciate it. And I hope that you have a great rest of the week. Take care.